Welcome. Welcome to this moment. Say hello to your body. You can do that by moving your shoulders, moving your neck, rotating your feet on your ankles. What is that called? Just sort of wiggle your body around to just a little bit better position, a little bit more comfortable position. Let your breath fill your body with just a little more, a little 10% more comfortable right now. And that's the only gentleness you can give to yourself all day. Do that right now. Just get a little more comfortable. And then there'll be another moment. So we'll be attached to being comfortable forever. So the theme today is freedom from suffering in um, in a nutshell for me is don't always believe your thoughts, question your thoughts. Um, and and there are a lot of other little things that I do to get freedom from suffering. And you do too. You probably all have like, well, to get freedom from suffering, this is what I do. Um, and the first step, I think, is to acknowledge that they're suffering, acknowledge that it hurts sometimes, acknowledge that in this lifetime, we also accumulate suffering. Everything we're thinking is based on however many years you have been in the world, based on our past experiences. So we've got a lot of thoughts about how things are. So start by giving yourself compassion for the fact is that we suffer. That it is in the world. That it does come and go. And we can glimpse these bright moments when we are free from suffering, when we don't, when we're not hurting. And it may be only a brief moment. And enjoy it, whatever it is. And come back to how does it feel in your body when you are free of suffering? When you feel that openness that comes from freedom, that ability to make choices, which starts to with ourselves. What are the inner choices that we're making in each moment? Freedom is one thing about the ability to choose, right? And before we can choose our thoughts, we have to notice that they're here and that they're coming and going. And we can take a breath. We can notice them come and go, much like watching the clouds cross the sky on a cloudy day, or watching this storm outside and how the wind kicks up and it's like crazy for a while. And then you can just hear it blowing more in the distance. Very much similar to our inner world. So there's also freedom from suffering starts with acknowledging their suffering. And I didn't think of this, by the way, much wiser people who may work with this in the past, um, is acknowledging that they're suffering, connecting with the suffering in our own body, the pain in our own body, and the fact that it comes and goes. And then the freedom from suffering, I think, comes from me of like not being attached to it's here or not. It's a it's a paradox that we're more likely to be free from suffering if we're not attached to not suffering. It's ironic, isn't it? And again, feel the body sensations of the constriction that we feel when we are um, judging our circumstances as sucking. We can get all of our friends to agree with us that this really, really sucks. And become aware of our choices, what we put our attention to, what we focus on, what we choose in each moment, and what when we're on automatic pilot. The automatic pilot stuff is the hard stuff because there's so much unconscious bias. So finding which biases in particular you want to be free from, and then using techniques to get more underneath what you're thinking, what conclusions you automatically jump to. So keep coming back to wherever you are in this process. It may be with acknowledging that we have choices, knowing that we can make choices in what we think and what we focus on. And what is it called? Um, when we like take the suffering and milk it for all it's worth. That's different from acknowledging it. Wallowing in it is very, very different from acknowledging it. It's here. And what are the thoughts that are creating the suffering? What are the feelings? What are the needs that it's pointing to? It's here. Very different from wallowing in it, which is constantly reinforcing the I'm in a country that does a whole lot with very, very little. And most of that comes from their choices and how they approach the day and how they approach the world. And each person's different, of course. So keep coming back to where you are in your process, in your thoughts, and how you're experiencing the suffering. If you're blaming yourself or you're blaming other people. So we can share that with others just by working on ourselves as we be with them. That can be our way to contribute is to work on ourselves and our own relationship with suffering. Because we can't take somebody else's suffering from them. That is their path. That is theirs to work with however they can with. But we can hold their hand while they're suffering. And that's our loved ones. And we can notice when people around us are stuck in their suffering too. And also give them the same presence and smiles that we would, acknowledgement that we would to friends. Acknowledge that we probably don't understand our enemies. That'll be the theme for next Tuesday is no enemies within, no enemies without. And then offering that to all beings so that they may benefit from this practice. Thank you so much.